house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con, in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Come to us for your news and opinions. We got a voice. There is no choice. We're some boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast, it's like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Papa see your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Slow.
What's up, guys? What's cracking? Hollywood House. In your house. We're here. We're ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are with the shits. So I'm with the shits. And I'm ready to talk a little wrestling. That is right. We are back here on In Your House, ready to talk a little bit of wrestling. Like I just said, that's what we do. All right. You guys already know that. You guys know that by now. Okay. It's a vibe. Anytime we slide through, give y'all that work, give y'all that energy when it comes to pro wrestling. So this is, of course, my solo shot. And normally when I do my Monday Night Raw solo shot, I'm not usually live here on Facebook and on IG Live and on X and wherever. I'm everywhere. All right. I'm out here. All right. But I did it this time because this right here, this is the last broadcast that I'm going to be doing at my current location. So I wanted to hop on here, do a little face-to-face interaction. If anybody wants to slide through on their lunch break, they can slide on through. But of course, this will be available. The podcast version will be available on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify a little bit after this is done. Just give me some time to edit it, flip it and reverse it, put it out there, and you guys can check it out wherever you get your podcast at. But with all that being said and things of that nature, a lot of things moving for me and my family, me and the household. We're moving to a new location. It's great. We're excited. It's a great vibe. But while we're moving, wrestling is still moving too. And the road to WrestleMania is indeed still moving. And we had Monday Night Raw last night. We had Elimination Chamber from Perth, Australia. Who got up early to watch that? Who did you guys get up early to watch it? I watched it after work. I checked it out after I got off from work because I work early and I usually get off by at least early afternoon. So I checked it out after I got off and I thought it was a pretty good show. It was a show that was, for me, predictable. Everybody who won, they won. So, it is what it is. But we had a lot of moving parts that went into this particular episode of Monday Night Raw that just happened, and a lot of moving parts that went into Elimination Chamber. We saw many matches be set up, possibly looking at Logan Paul versus Randy Orton, possibly looking at AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Is the United States title going to be on the line? Logan Paul? Is it going to be Logan Paul and Randy versus for the United States Championship? That'd be interesting. We'd have to see. But a lot of moving parts going into that. Of course, we had Rhea Ripley main evented, and I don't think that's a surprise to anybody that she was main eventing that show in Australia, and she came up on top. A lot of people don't know that Nia Jax was actually born in Australia, so this was kind of a homecoming for her too, but definitely big for Rhea, huge for Rhea, and a big opportunity. It was a chance to have a Mania moment before Mania. I mean, that's crazy. She's on a different level right now with her run. And I think it's really exciting to see. And I've been enjoying it. I hope you guys have too. We often get into the way of when things get too good, especially in this community, the professional wrestling community. We tend to get in the way when things get too good. We start to rebel against it. We start to say things like, oh, well, she's not that good, or, oh, she's overrated. Oh, that's the one right there. Overrated is such a big buzzword when people get to a point in wrestling where they probably should be at or where they worked hard. And now it's to a point where you're kind of seeing them a little bit too much. Like it feels like they're being oversaturated. Then that's when that word overrated comes into play. And, it just becomes a whole thing. It's really body of work. I think people, they don't like to see people who, it's weird because you're rooted for them to be there. And then they got there and they're like, I don't want it anymore. That's a whole nother thing, a whole nother conversation. But once again, back to uh Elimination Chamber for a little bit before I get to Monday Night Raw. Once again, thought it was a good show, enjoyed it. Tiffany Stratton came out looking like a star in her chamber match. Just want to talk about that real quick because we haven't had a chance to really talk about the Elimination Chamber results myself or Hype or P or anybody for that matter that's affiliated with the show. It's Tiffy time, bro. Like it's it's Tiffy time, straight up. Like it's Tiffy time. So we love to see it. It's a great vibe. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from her. She's a star. She's really about to take that next leap quicker than what anybody probably thought was going to happen. I don't know where she plays or fits into WrestleMania, but definitely beyond that, like past WrestleMania, there's a lot that you can do with somebody like Tiffany Stratton for sure. So once again, you got what you got at Elimination Chamber. You got a good show. The people, and I mean, 50,000 over there in Perth, Australia. This was a success. I mean, yes, it was a show where everything that we thought was going to happen ended up happening. Did we get a little bit of twists and turns along the way? Yeah, we did. You know, a couple other situations kind of situated themselves, and I think that's exactly what I said was going to happen, though. Like, this is going to be a show that puts the cement on a lot of WrestleMania matches, and even more so, even more WrestleMania matches than we even really thought. Because I didn't think that we was going to get a hint at uh, LA Knight versus AJ Styles, or even Logan Paul versus Randy Orton. So I thought that was good stuff. Once again, thought the show was good. Elimination Chamber, predictable show, but that's not always a bad thing. I was just saying this in the In Your House group chat that sometimes there's no, like, if you know where you're trying to go, what's the point in trying to be overly convoluted just to trick people? Why? Like, I mean, sometimes a swerve is nice, don't get me wrong, but sometimes we just got to get there. And people don't want to just get there. They want all these twists and turns, and they want how they want, and they want what they want, and things of that nature. And you just got to learn to just enjoy the ride. And, you know, you see it a lot. That's kind of why I just kind of have like backed off really on social media. Like, I stay tuned in. Like, I got, like, for what I do here, I got to stay plugged in to what's going on. But like, as far as people's comments or what people put out on social media, it's all just a huge mess of ideas, and everybody thinks that their idea is the best idea. And I'm not saying every idea I have is the best idea. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a time and a place for it, and people just regurgitate all their ideas on social media and complain about how they can do it better and this and that. And cool, okay, great. Maybe you could. I'm not going to be one of those guys to tell you to start your own promotion, because please don't. Please don't. But unless you're trying to do good for wrestling, then that's different. But it's a thing where it's like, man, just let it play out. And if you don't like what you're watching, then there's definitely other great wrestling programs out there to watch. And I'm not saying don't ever complain. That's not it. I'm not saying that you can't ever complain or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes you just got to let things play out. It is what it is. And that's what we saw with Elimination Chamber. It was obvious to me and a lot of other people that kind of know what's going on, and it was what it was. But I enjoyed the ride to get there because I thought the Elimination Chamber matches were fun. Okay, so on to Monday Night Raw. I had to talk a little bit about Elimination Chamber because we really didn't talk about it. I want to talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw last night. That was February 26th edition. I believe they were in San Jose. Rhea Ripley and her WrestleMania #1 contender, Becky Lynch, they came face to face. And I think this is exactly what I saw coming and a lot of other people saw coming. It's the two most dominant females on the roster right now. Two of the most over on the roster right now. Becky Lynch has had a big year in the last year with her NXT run and working with Trish Stratus, and she's done a good job of staying away from Rhea Ripley, to be quite honest. While Rhea Ripley has been off doing her own thing, she's been having title defenses. Then there was a time where she wasn't defending the title at all. And then it was just like, okay, so she's for sure going into Mania the champion for a full year, because she won it at last year's WrestleMania. So she's at least going to go somewhere around a calendar year for her reign, which is great. Are they going to have Becky win and take this title off her and give her another reign? And we were talking a little bit about this in the In Your House group chat, and I want to bring into this particular um, situation with Becky Lynch and with Rhea Ripley, and I want to insert one Liv Morgan and everything that Liv Morgan has to do with this. Of course, Liv Morgan was a tag team with Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley turned on her, put her on the shelf, injured her. We don't see Liv Morgan for a few months. Liv Morgan is now back, and she's continuing to talk about her revenge. This is not something that she's letting die. She's got her own little story that she's got to tell as well. Of course, Cody Rhodes. We're going to definitely talk about Cody and get to everything that's moving with that. But Liv, she's got her own little story going right now to try to get revenge on Rhea Ripley. And I think that we saw a little hint of that last night on Monday Night Raw, where we saw Becky Lynch get involved in Liv Morgan's match with Nia Jax, and she just totally disregards the fact, her being Becky Lynch, she totally disregards the fact that that Liv Morgan is trying to win a match. She's trying to gain upper momentum towards WrestleMania, where there's a lot of, let's face it, the window is starting to close on those WrestleMania spots. So it's like, where does Liv Morgan play into it? And getting the victory is important towards building that momentum, as we saw with Sami Zayn early on in that night, as he picked up a pretty big win against Shinsuke Nakamura. But Liv Morgan totally disregarded by Becky Lynch. And you can see it written all over Liv Morgan's face. And then we see a backstage segment where Liv Morgan is pretty much telling Becky Lynch that she's only worried about herself, and why doesn't she mind her own, and things of that nature. You guys get what I'm saying. She's just worried about herself. Are we seeing a villain arc here with Liv Morgan? Because I would love to see that. I think that's the last dot that needs to be connected with Liv Morgan, because I think her wrestling is pretty solid, and I think she connects. She definitely has a fan base as far as that goes. But it's like, I really want to see her latch on to like a character. Like, she's just kind of Liv Morgan, and there's no, not to say that she doesn't hold her on promos or anything like that, but where's the depth? Like, you're Liv Morgan, who are you? And now with this villain arc that we can see, it's definitely a good thought that I think that they should go with, as far as making, and maybe it's a thing where they kind of keep building it towards after WrestleMania. Then when things kind of move, we see Liv Morgan finally make a big play and finally make a big heel turn, because I don't really want her heel turn to get kind of lost in everything that's going on in WrestleMania. So maybe just keep building that for a few weeks past Mania, and then boom, you let it pop. But there's many different ways that you could do it, but it's pretty much on the level of what I think with somebody like Dakota Kai, who can reveal herself to be the mastermind behind everybody turning their back on Bayley, because that's still kind of in play right there. I feel like, I don't know if you guys agree, but I definitely feel like it's still in play. So there's that possibility that Liv Morgan can have that type of villain arc and connect that dot and really just be that heel, that revenge heel. And it's kind of reminiscent to what we're seeing with Drew right now, right? Like, Drew was saying he was right about everything, and Drew is just going to give it to you. Drew's doing some of the best work of his career, I do believe. And it's really great to see. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from Drew McIntyre, but with Liv Morgan, we can kind of see something similar, where it's like, I'm right, I am right. Like, you might not like the fact that I'm going after what I'm going after, but I'm right in doing so. And to a villain, their beliefs are right. It might not be what you agree with, but their beliefs are right. And I do believe that Liv Morgan has a case on Rhea Ripley. I do. I do think, and we see Rhea Ripley rising. We see her at the top of her career, the best she's ever been, and then the fans are she was rising as a heel, but now the fans are starting to kind of turn to where they love her. And this is a perfect opportunity to kind of have Liv Morgan play that heel as Rhea Ripley is turning to that face. So it's a good chance to establish Rhea as a babyface if that's what you want to do. But it's an even better opportunity to establish Liv Morgan as a revenge-driven heel. And look, we're seeing like these disgruntled characters start to come up, right? Like we're seeing like Drew McIntyre, he was disgruntled, and now boom, he's cashed in his ticket to WrestleMania. Liv Morgan kind of disgruntled with her right that she wants to get to Rhea Ripley. Even look at AJ Styles. He's disgruntled. We're seeing him have that black Air Force One energy. He's just mad. Like this man has got his face scrunched up all the time. No smile, never. He's just mad. AJ Styles is just mad. So, you're seeing these disgruntled type characters start to come to light a little bit and come into prominence. And it's really something great to see. And hey, speaking of things that was great to see, I really loved to see this segment between the Judgment Day and Imperium. We had Gunther and the rest of Imperium come out, and they had a match. The tag team, Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, they had a match against Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. That was coming up, a street fight that was pretty good. That was coming up shortly after that segment. And basically, it was Gunther saying, hey, I have done everything. I am the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. And you see that, you see this rise happening with Gunther. And the rise, it's here, it's happening, but now we're seeing him kind of like, what's next for me? And so he named names like Sami Zayn, he named names like Chad Gable, he named names like The Miz, which maybe even leads me to believe maybe there's going to be a multi-man match happening for Gunther. There's no telling what could happen. You name those guys for a reason, so who knows? But out comes the Judgment Day, and pretty much Damian Priest, he's got a head full of steam, bro. Like, he is saying that championship is coming to the Judgment Day. He's standing tall against Gunther and his squad. And he says it doesn't matter who's going to win it. The fact of the matter is it's going to come to the Judgment Day. And even Gunther was like, obviously you're not cashing that briefcase in on me right now. So who's it going to be? Well, you had Dominic Mysterio, one of the most over heel in the company, step up and say, I'll do it. I'll take on this big man. Like, my God, I'm loving what he's doing. He's great. He's definitely great. But yeah, I loved that segment just because like it continues to show you that the Judgment Day is wanting to continue their reign of dominance on Monday Night Raw. So now there's kind of like this little turf war going on. Like, hey, you got something that we want, so now we got to press you. So, and I love that. That's what I liked. The fact that Damian Priest and the Judgment Day came out and pressed Imperium, two pretty fairly dominant factions. I don't want to say one is more dominant than the other. I think Judgment Day is more dominant than Imperium. They're definitely like main event status and whatnot, and Imperium is more floating around the mid card. But in their respective areas where they're on the show, they dominate. So this was good to me. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good vibe and a good segment to keep questions raised on what's going to happen with the Intercontinental Championship moving forward and as WrestleMania season continues to ramp up. So I thought that was pretty good. We also saw interaction between Drew McIntyre, who I believe once again is doing some of the best work that he's doing, and Seth Rollins. the world heavyweight champion. And Drew comes out, accepts, the fact, oh, I've won, I'm the champion, or not the champion, I'm fighting for the championship. And he's going to be fighting for that championship at WrestleMania. But he says that the doctors say that he might not make it to WrestleMania. And then he goes on to say, who do you think I am? CM Punk? This CM Punk slander that he's continuing to do is really building, like, this is like 2 steps ahead, because I still believe that Drew McIntyre is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. I do. I firmly believe that. But I also believe that we're going to see a Drew McIntyre CM Punk feud somewhere down the line when Punk comes back. And I think that all this shade that Drew McIntyre is throwing is just continuing to keep that story relevant. Definitely, trust me, you can come back and listen to this episode months down the line when Punk is back. Everything that Drew is doing is going to be sprinkled into a nice little video package leading up to their match. Just trust me on this. Clip this, trust me on this. I'm telling you, everything, I'll say it again, everything that Drew is doing is sprinkling together a nice little video package for CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre whenever it happens. But this was a good interaction between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre is, he's pretty much saying, I'm going to carry Monday Night Raw. When I become champion, I'm going to worry about Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to worry about what the Bloodline is doing, because worrying about what the Bloodline is doing gets you into trouble. That's what he's been saying. Like, the fact that Drew is gone on this trajectory by standing on his convictions is crazy. Like, he said, I've been telling y'all to leave them fools alone, and y'all still ain't learning this lesson. I look at where I'm at. I done left them alone, and now I'm about to fight you at WrestleMania. It's good. It's good stuff. It's good. But moving right along, Seth is pretty much saying, like, no, how long is it going to take before the Bloodline decides they want the World Heavyweight Championship? And that's why we got to fight. That's why we have to stop them. And so, you see different, there's just next level storytelling that's going on right now on different layers and different, levels to what is going on, and I think that it's good stuff. I think that the storytelling is good that they're doing. And you got The Rock in the mix. Cody's feeling like a bigger star than he's ever been before. Drew McIntyre is doing some of his best work. Seth Rollins has been still carrying that World Heavyweight Championship as a relevant champion. And once again, I think that his time is coming up at WrestleMania to drop the title. And if it is, hell of a run, great run. He held it. And had many, many title reigns or title defenses, that is, during that time. And it's been a great run. But I do think it's Drew's time. I do. I just really do. Just like I think that it's going to be Cody's time. I think last week's Monday Night Raw, they had Cody versus Drew in the opening bout. And I'm saying this right now. I wanted to remember that I wanted to say this on this episode, that I do believe that we saw a champion versus champion match before we even knew it. I truly believe that Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes last week on Monday Night Raw was a champion versus champion match that we didn't know we were seeing just yet, because after WrestleMania, they're both going to be champion, in my humble opinion. And man, I got to tell you, once again, this was a good episode of Raw with a good mixture of wrestling. Shinsuke picked up a win, like I said. You had a vicious attack by Nia Jax. They're keeping Nia looking nice and strong. I don't know what her role is going to be going into WrestleMania, but they're definitely keeping her relevant, and they're keeping other, these tag teams relevant. The New Day, Imperium, they had a street fight. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, they defeated Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. We're starting to see maybe a little bit of heat. What are we going to see with the women's tag team championships at WrestleMania? Maybe we can see something like a multi-person match. Where in the hell is Life of the Party? Okay, where is my Life of the Party? I want to see them back on the show. All right, Katana Chance, Caden Carter, bring them back. Maybe they could have some sort of fatal four-way with them, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell versus the Kabuki Warriors of Damage Control for those titles. Just something like that. Just a thought. It's just a thought. What do you guys think? You let me know either in the comments you guys hear or later on when you guys listen to this on the podcast episode or the podcast version. We'll see. But we had Grayson Waller main event Monday Night Raw. I think there's a lot of signs of good things to come with him, and they've really made the Grayson Waller effect feel big with a lot of scoops that's come through that. And I'm just trying to ask, bro, why did he just sit up there and let his boy Theory get his ass beat on the Grayson Waller effect at Elimination Chamber? He just sat up there and just like chilling, like, well, yeah, and they had to go this, it had the unmitigated gall to sit up there and say, oh, I did everything that I could to help you, bro. And in theory, like, what, bro? No, you didn't. You watched it happen. But, he took the L in this main event. But did he really take an L? He main evented his first ever Monday Night Raw. Once again, big things coming for Grayson Waller. But the story here was what happened at the end of the show, where Paul Heyman does what a great manager does when his clients aren't in the building, and that's control the situation. And he comes out with the security force, apparently some fired or off duty or disgraced cops from the NYPD. I don't know what kind of connections Heyman has, but he flew him out to San Jose to protect him against whatever Cody Rhodes might bring to him, because the bloodline was not on Monday Night Raw. There was not a single member of the bloodline besides Paul Heyman that was on Monday Night Raw. So, Paul comes out and he's pretty much saying him being Cody needs to keep The Rock's name out of his mouth. He needs to rescind this challenge towards The Rock. And now we're kind of seeing Paul Heyman become the representation of both the tribal chief and the high chief of the bloodline. This is just an interesting wrinkle. It's crazy. You got this happening where it seems like they're embracing what's going on. And a lot of people might not like the hard turn that happened between the time that Cody Rhodes shook The Rock's hand and when the slap happened. He said he Will Smithed him. Like, Paul Heyman said he Will Smithed him. I gotta admit, I laughed about that. Paul Heyman just masterful on the mic. But a lot has happened. I know it's been a hard pivot, but I think the pivot has worked, and I think that we're going to get something big at WrestleMania with The Rock and Roman Reigns, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen and where we can go with this. Apparently, Cody Rhodes says the bloodline's not hunting him; he's hunting the bloodline. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. You see Cody Rhodes yeet a chair in a security guy's face. I mean, wow, just straight put the hurting on him and everybody else in that ring. Cody Rhodes with a bigger attitude. We usually see a more stoic, well-spoken Cody Rhodes. We saw a more angry Cody Rhodes. When is The Rock and Cody Rhodes going to happen? Could we see it on night 1 of WrestleMania? Could we going to see a tag team match? Things are still not quite in cement as far as what's going to happen. And I don't hate that, to be honest with you. Once again, we are still about a month out. There's going to be things that pan out. It's WrestleMania. People are going to come out. It's going to happen. It's WrestleMania. So they got a little bit of time to kind of let the cement dry on things. And it's drying very slowly. And I'm okay with that. Long-term storytelling, give it all to me. I enjoy it. I enjoy being on this cliffhanger. And once again, I just think Monday Night Raw was good. So I think that was a great episode, like I said. But now I got to call this a great episode of In Your House. The last broadcast here at the house that I started this podcast in. The house that I drove back home to from OVW. The house that I flew back to from Vegas with Paragon and Sam Knight. So many things have happened in the last 6 years. Life-changing things have happened here for me and my family, but now we're going to move forward. We're going to go into a better situation for me and my family. And now I'm going to have an opportunity to give you guys out there in the household better content. Household Studios, House Hustle Studios. I haven't decided a name yet. I'm kind of playing with both, but either way, The studio is going up, y'all. I'm very excited. I've been working from this desk for 6 years. The studio is going to be slowly going up. We here now. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. Once again, slowing it up a little bit here in March because of the move that is happening for myself and my family. It's going to be great. I'm going to be transitioning. I'm going to be packing up a lot of stuff. As I'm packing up stuff, I really want to check out this new show called Shogun. It's on FX and Hulu, and it's been getting rave reviews. I think I want to check that out as I'm continuing to pack. Got a lot of running to do, guys, so forgive me if we're not back for a couple of weeks, but it's because I'm looking to give you guys bigger and better content. Really appreciate you guys. This place has been great for me and my family for the last 6 years, but now we're growing. So now it's time to move on to bigger and better things. And I'm bringing you guys with me, you guys out there in the household that made it a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done. So with that being said, you guys already know where to find me at. That's at The Hollywood House on IG. That's at Hollywood House on Facebook. That's on X. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate you, bro. And of course, you can follow this great podcast here at In Your House. That's on all those social media platforms there. And of course, make sure that you spell my name right. It's HOWSE, and the W stands for work. So guys, really appreciate you guys pulling up and listening to me and the very last broadcast here at my home in Anderson, Indiana, as we move forward. But guys, as we move forward, I need you guys to do one thing for me, and that's to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend to hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household is still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day, a great rest of your week. Hollywood House signing off for the final time here in Anderson, Indiana. Peace.